Hey crafty friends, it's Joy here for Honeybee Stamps, and for my card today I'm going to show you some quick and easy ink techniques to get some color on your cards. I am starting with the Lovely Layers Herb Garden dies along with the Lovely Layers Party background. So I want to start with our background for our card here, and we're going to do some ink smooshing, spritzing it with some water, and then just running our paper through it, dabbing our paper into it so it's kind of like this ink smooshing. And I am using all green colors. The two colors I used here were the oh my gosh, peeled paint and shabby shutters. So the lightest color was the shabby shutters, then I'm bringing in the peeled paint and I'm going back to the shabby shutters. I'm actually going to add a little bit more water this time. I want it a little bit thinner so I can fill in some of that white space. I don't want so much of that white space. Then I'm going to put that aside to dry. And for our die cut herbs here, we're just going to take our ink pads and then just run them across our cardstock. So direct to paper technique here, super easy. This is going to make coloring our die cuts easy, but it's also going to have some color variations. So that's why I like doing it like this. The three colors that I'm using here are Bundled Sage, Rustic Wilderness, and Mowed Lawn. So now that they are wide enough to accommodate my die cuts, I can put those in place, and being that these are Lovely Layers dies, we've got some layering to do, but it makes this super easy to get the die cutting done. Now that that's done, let's put our herbs together. I am going to use some foam adhesive between the whole Lovely Layer background and then the separate little leaves. I do want to have some extra dimension on these because they are a smaller die, and so I want to have that extra, I don't know, just the little extra. I like to do a little extra on my cards. Now there's also a cute bucket that goes with this, but I'm not going to use that. When I saw these dies, I just thought this would be perfect as a trio and without the little bucket. So again, I'm just placing really low profile. This is like 1 millimeter foam adhesive. I don't want a crazy amount of foam adhesive underneath, but I do want a separation between the background and these front leaves. Some of the smaller leaves on this particular die, I did not add foam adhesive because it was just so small and I didn't want to have to try to trim out some small pieces of foam adhesive. And using tweezers is super helpful. I'm going to get these last 4 little pieces. You have the leaves, and then you have these little tiny pieces that kind of go on the leaves, so it makes it look like the leaf is folded up at the edge. So this little piece here is going to give us that look. I'm going to pop that in place, and then I can do my last leaf up here at the top. Now that my background is dry, I'm going to use the Lovely Layers Party die, and I'm going to die cut out our inked background, and then I want to add a little something extra. So I am using the vintage Flora stamp. I'm inking it up with black ink, and I'm just deciding what images I want where on my background, and I'm just going to lay it down and stamp it up. And I just think it looks so pretty. It gives us this really fun vintage kind of grungy look, which is what I was going for. And it really is kind of a monochromatic with all of these beautiful greens. Now I also thought I'm going to die cut more of the leaves here, 2 more for each one of these leaves. Excuse me, each one of these herbs, 2 more die cuts of just the background from white cardstock, and I'm going to layer these. This is going to give it a little extra bulk, so when we have it on our background, they really do stand out. They are a little bit thicker, and it just gives it a little bit extra dimension. So it didn't take too long to die cut 6 extra total, and then just gluing those together. Now we have our little labels here that say basil, parsley, and mint, and I am die cutting those from a rose gold mirror cardstock. And I want to dirty these up, so I'm using the StazOn jet black ink because this is like a plasticky type metallic cardstock. I want my ink to stay on there, and regular ink will just wipe off, so that's why I'm using the StazOn. I'm just rubbing it across. I don't want the names to be filled with ink, so I just did the outsides. This is the second, or this is the largest die in the Lovely Layers Party die, and I am using the Shabby Shutters to just ink blend around the edges. Then I trimmed a piece of vellum that's going to fit inside of our ink and stamped background, and I'm using just dots of liquid glue to adhere our herbs. And then I can hide my other adhesive behind the leaves here to adhere this to the background. I'm also going to add some foam adhesive squares on either side of the signs, and these are going to straddle the stems at the bottom part of our herbs, and so I'm just going to label all the herbs here. But I just love this, gives it this really fun kind of dirty look. It's almost like these little signs were black and the paint is rubbing off and you can see the copper coming through. So here's where I'm going to hide that adhesive so you don't see it through the vellum, and I'm going to adhere this to the background, and you can see how the vellum just fits nicely inside, but you can see those little reversed, I'm calling them reverse scalloped edges. You can see those nicely, and then I added foam adhesive behind that and adhered that to that larger die cut piece. I am using the sentiment from the Mini Messages birthday, and it says, "Sending you hugs." I'm stamping that with black ink on white cardstock. I trimmed that out, and then I'm using the Shabby Shutters to just give this a little bit of a distressed look with this green. The white was too stark with this background, so I wanted to just ink that up a little bit, and I can add some foam adhesive, and I need to remember, because I didn't, to take out the center piece of foam adhesive, which I did with my scissors, excuse me, because that's going to straddle that center flower, or excuse me, center herb stem. So I'm going to pop that in place. This will be on an A2 size card base, and then this is done. I love how this turned out. I love all the grunge, and I love the monochromatic look. Thank you guys so very much for stopping by and watching. I hope that you enjoyed this project, and I hope that you feel inspired. Have a wonderful day.